A major programming upgrade planned for a Thunder Bay Library branch. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. A children's section at Waverley Library could soon undergo a major expansion, according to public library officials.
The plan is to double the current footprint to offer more room for programming, books, and spaces for children and their parents. Justin Hardy spoke with the library's CEO and joins us in studio. Justin, how big of a project is this?
Ryan, this is a massive overhaul of the entire lower floor of the library. Thunder Bay Public Library is also planning other projects at the Waverley branch, like work on the main entrance and structural repairs, including parts of the building's foundation. But this expansion of the children's area is the one that has library officials most excited.
We're looking at expanding to the full lower level of Waverley. So the main floor will be focused on adult and seniors activities, while the lower floor will effectively be transformed into a children's library.
The library announced the expansion of Waverley Library's lower level children's space on Monday. According to library officials, the renovations will double the area for books, play zones, and program rooms. Library CEO Richard Togman says their children's programs are oversubscribed, making the expansion essential to meet rising demand.
We are witnessing a big transformation in how the community is interacting with the library, in that almost all of our children's programs are all fully registered. There's long wait lists for them. Over 2024, we had over 10,000 more children coming to the library than the year before. So over 35,000 visits in total just from kids alone.
Togman says a request for proposals will be issued soon to determine the designs and overall project costs. He hopes the interior work can begin by the fall or winter of this year, depending on the planning and approval process. Since the project is still in its early stages, Togman hopes the necessary upgrades and retrofitting of the space will be completed by 2026.
So the project is going to be part of a bigger set of renovations that are happening at Waverley. We know we have some structural issues, like we need to repair part of the foundation. The main entrance needs a little bit of work. So in total, it'll be in the low millions, I'll say. We don't have an exact number yet. That will be coming through a design cost phase that will be going out for RFP shortly.
Roughly half of the lower floor of Waverley Library is currently in use by Anishinaabeg Employment and Training Services. Library officials say the lease for AETS has ended and the organization is preparing to vacate its spaces at both Waverley and Brody Libraries at the end of May. No one from AETS was available for comment. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
OPP in the Dryden area continue to investigate a serious collision involving 3 transport trucks that shut down Highway 17 for most of yesterday and into this morning. It happened just after 9 a.m. on Sunday, about 20 kilometers west of Dryden. OPP still haven't released any details on how many occupants were involved or the extent of the injuries. The highway between Dryden and Kenora was completely closed while collision investigators processed the scene. Recovery crews began removing the vehicle and debris around midnight, and the highway fully reopened around 3 o'clock this morning.
A Kenora man is in custody for allegedly killing his adult son last week. Ontario Provincial Police were called to a home on Heenan Place last Thursday where they found the victim, 46-year-old Albert Kiesick Jr., in medical distress before he was later pronounced dead. His father, 72-year-old Albert Kiesick Sr., has been charged with second-degree murder. He was set to appear in court in Kenora today. The investigation continues, and police are asking anyone with information to reach out to Kenora OPP or Crime Stoppers.
The inquest into the death of Sherman Quisses resumed this morning after 1 week break.
A community panel from Neskantaga First Nation described the immediate effect Quisses' death had on his home community and what they want to see in the future. Jonathan Wilson has more.
34-year-old Sherman Quisses died in 2012 following an altercation at the Thunder Bay Correctional Centre just a few days before he was to be released. He was stabbed in the neck during the altercation and later died in hospital. Another inmate, Adam Capay, was charged with first-degree murder, but he was released 7 years later due to the time he spent in solitary confinement while awaiting trial. After a week-long break, the inquest into Quisses' death resumed with a deputation from a community panel from Neskantaga First Nation. The panel is made up of community members, including former Chief Wayne Munius. They described the aftermath in the community following Quisses' death and proposed recommendations that included suggestions like more funding for crisis and grief services in communities, more First Nations involvement in the legal process when their members are going through it, and a community liaison officer to ensure better communication between the legal system and First Nation. They also pushed for restorative justice and land-based healing to reduce the number of First Nations people in prison. The inquest is expected to wrap up sometime this week. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
The Regional Food Distribution Association is expanding after construction began earlier this winter.
RFDA officials hope this growth will further their mission to ensure no one goes hungry. Jessica Clement brings us the latest.
Some big changes are on the way for the RFDA. The organization is expanding its facility and its focus, tackling food insecurity with hands-on learning. Right now, they're providing food to 37 partner organizations and 47 First Nations across northwestern Ontario. Executive Director Volker Krom gives us some insight into how the expansion project is coming along.
Well, we're doing really well. We were in a bit of a panic to get some of this started and underway. The critical pieces are now complete, which was the concrete pad, the steel, the roofing. We are in a really good position, so now we're finishing off the roof. The HVAC is going in, and when that is all completed from the top down, we'll be putting in the rest of the walls and closing it in.
The new expansion will serve a variety of purposes, introducing new features and transforming the facility into an inclusive cultural space for everyone. RFDA Office Manager April Mercier explains.
The really cool thing is we're going to have an educational kitchen. The kitchen will have different stations, so classes could come in, different groups could come in, and everybody could learn at their own station. And the great part about the kitchen is we're going to have a connectivity, better connectivity, to be able to allow us to stream some of these educational services. So for those who can't get here in person to learn, we still have the ability to provide the education.
The space will also be available for rent, complete with all its amenities and features, making a significant milestone for both the RFDA and the entire region.
I think it's also a place where many more volunteers will come. For us, it'll also be capacity. So the processing room, the meat room, and the commercial kitchen that we have will all be combined to be able to process a lot more food. Healthy, nutritious food that is available here locally or right across Canada will be something that we'll try to bring in here and share with the rest of the region.
And Krom says if everything goes according to plan, renovation should be completed by the end of August. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
A 27-year-old woman has been charged with impaired and dangerous driving after her vehicle allegedly left the Mission Island Conservation Area parking lot and went onto the rocks on the shores of Lake Superior. Thunder Bay police were called to the scene on Friday evening and observed signs of impairment when they spoke with the driver. She'll now appear in court, and her vehicle has been impounded for 7 days.
2 more people from the Thunder Bay District were presented with King Charles coronation medals today.
MP Patty Haidu hosted the latest honorees who weren't able to attend the official ceremony in the city earlier this month. Emma Chilton has the story.
The King Charles III coronation medals are being given to 30,000 Canadians for their exceptional contributions to community service and leadership. MP Patty Hadu presented one of the medals to Terrace Bay's Bobby Spadoni for his many years of volunteer work in the sports community.
It's truly honored to receive such a recognition, like you said, along with my new friend here and all the other recipients. We don't do it for the recognition or the thanks, but to be able to get it is truly humbling. And to be able to be up here today in such a special event is just great. And we spend all our lives trying to make a difference, and when someone tells you you did, it makes you sure feel pretty good. So it's been a true recognition and very humbling.
Carolyn Carl, the founder of DEC Foundation, was recognized for her advocacy and making a significant impact on addiction recovery services in our community.
I'm so happy that I'm able to help out in the community with the crisis that we're facing. I've felt from the beginning that it's a very tough journey, and no one needs to take this journey alone. We need to connect people and start working on ending the social stigma attached to addiction and mental health.
Another 40 area recipients were presented with coronation medals at a larger event held at Lakehead University on March 8th. Hadu says everyone can contribute to their hometowns, no matter how small the town or who you are, as there's a place for everyone to make their community a better place.
Over the last 9.5 years, I've done some really incredible things as a member of Parliament. I've had so many incredible experiences, but this was truly the most moving moment of my experience as a member of Parliament so far. To be able to acknowledge the excellence in communities, the leadership, the contributions, the unsung heroes all across our riding.
Emma Chilton, TBT News.
The Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation recently presented its 2025 Student Achievement Awards. Hammersholt student Amelia Jardin won the Judge's Choice Award for her pencil drawing of a Hawaiian bird whose species was on the verge of extinction in the 1980s. She was inspired by an audio recording of a lonely mating call by the last male bird of the species. The theme of this year's awards was Is Anyone Out There? And the special OSSTF award is presented in any category that particularly resonated with the judges. Jardin's artwork is titled Duet. Her poignant piece, which beautifully captures the now extinct bird, aligned perfectly with the theme of the awards. Jardin shared the inspiration behind this emotionally powerful work of art.
I heard the prompt of Is Anyone Out There on the school announcements, and I didn't really know what to do with that. But then I was kind of brought back to this YouTube video that I had watched when I was little about this bird that was the last bird of its species, and it was doing a mating call, and it was really sad because there were no other birds to hear its call. And I was like, oh, that bird's calling. Is anyone out there?
Jardin says she was overjoyed to win the award and says it's boosted her confidence in her art and inspired her to participate in more competitions like this one. Next year, she'll head to Sheridan College to pursue her passion for art through their illustration program. She hopes to one day become a medical illustrator.
There's another lottery winner in Thunder Bay after a city man took home an Encore prize worth $100,000. Gary McDougall said yes to Encore, and it certainly paid off for him. McDougall matched the last 6 of 7 Encore numbers in the exact order during the February 1st Lotto 649 draw. The winning ticket was purchased at the Shoppers Drug Mart on West Arthur Street.
The snow base at Thunder Bay's 2 downhill ski areas took another hit this past weekend after the warm temperatures and that rain on Saturday.
But officials at Mount Baldy and Loch Lomond say they plan to keep the ski and snowboard season going until the start of April, and possibly even longer. Brendan Miller explains.
As the snow continues to melt with warmer weather, there's finite time remaining to hit the slopes. Thankfully, at TBT News, we spoke to officials from the local hills. Lindsay Gary is the director of the ski school at Loch Lomond and believes there's a slim chance they could stay open into April, with the dummy downhill planned for March 30th.
We have a pretty good base layer, so I'm just hoping that we can get a few more sunny days to get everyone coming out. Yeah, I think everyone wants to stay skiing as long as they can. I for sure do, so I'm just hoping that everyone will still keep showing up and doing what they love to do. We have our last event, I think, happening. We have the dummy downhill on March 30th. So if we can stay open longer through that, like the start of April, that would be amazing.
Over at Mount Baldy, the feeling is similar. Owner Daniel Cardis said there's a good base layer, but the weather is still the biggest factor when deciding how long they can remain open.
Yeah, snow base is good right now. I mean, we'll see what happens in the next couple of days. We're keeping our fingers crossed that weatherman's wrong, but you know, at the end of the day, like I said, in the last couple of years, it's been pretty hard, and this season we've had a really good year. It just keeps snowing, and we keep pushing that snow back in to the mountain, and nothing's melting. We got a good base. Hopefully, we're gonna keep cruising into probably mid-April, and you know, I don't have a crystal ball. We'll see what happens.
Hopefully, the snow stays on the ground for a little bit longer. Brendan Miller, TBT News.
It truly is the back and forth of this time of year. Some rain on the weekend and some snow again today.
I don't know about you, but I'm suffering from a little bit of whiplash. We topped out with a high of, I believe, 9 on Saturday. Today didn't even get above the freezing mark, and we have this system that worked its way across the international border, and I say that because it really didn't get any higher this morning. You could see it moving in. That's what's been affecting Thunder Bay and areas all the way to Fort Francis. My brother was driving in. He said 8 inches this morning before he finally left and headed back to Thunder Bay. So a lot of snow moving through, and it came with some very mild temperatures. So we've had kind of a mishmash across the region. Here in Thunder Bay, we were at least enjoying, I'd say, milder temperatures, even though it was a lot colder than the weekend, but a low of -5, wind chills of -9, and then a high of -1 and wind chills of -7. So the temperature rose, but the wind chills were fairly steady, and that's because we also had a lot of increasing wind in the afternoon. Started out 14 to 16 kilometers an hour. This afternoon it was between 30 and 40 many times. And across the region, as I said, at this point, fairly consistent, but the starting point throughout the region was vastly different. Fort Frances was around -5, -6 overnight. They're currently sitting on the freezing mark and wind chills of -9. As I said, snow all day, but Red Lake, completely out of the line of fire of that system, but they started out with a low of 24 Celsius and now are currently at -3. We've had increasing cloud all day. Now the snow is being felt a little bit. They've had periods in Greenstone, just at the edge of this system. Currently at their high of -2, as is Armstrong, -1 in Upsala and Sioux Lookout along the North Shore, sitting around the freezing mark or just slightly below it. Sault Ste. Marie has also seen increasing clouds in the last few hours, but most of the day was actually pretty sunny. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we're going to see similar temperatures to last night, a low of -6 and wind chills of -9. We could see another 2 to 4 centimeters of snow this evening, but that should end near midnight, leave us with just a 40% chance of flurries. But the winds are also still pretty gusty at times, increasing all the way up to 40 for the evening. So it's kind of a mixed bag this evening here in the city of Thunder Bay, but as I said, temperatures are inching their way back up to the seasonal highs, right around the freezing mark, maybe +1, +2, and that's what it's looking like for much of the rest of the week. Daytime highs on the positive side, overnight lows on the negative.
Okay, thanks a lot, Fiona. We'll take it.